you know, one of the Bahrain riders couldn't handle the increase in tempo, and now we're down to about four riders. Yeah.
Well, the chase behind is being led by Team Dimension Data. We understand that Mark Cavendish is in this group and is available and ready, willing and able to sprint at the conclusion of the 183 kilometers today. EF Education first, the pink colours next up. Well, they've got Sasha Modolo and Dan McClay on the sign-on sheet this afternoon. We'll look to see, can we pick them out? No helicopter shots this afternoon. I can tell you the weather conditions have been choice, to say the least, so we haven't been able to get the helicopters up. We do have an airplane, a fixed-wing airplane, flying at no less than 28,000 feet, from which the images are being bounced from the motorbikes up to and then back down to the outside broadcast unit here at the finish line at Pall Mall, and bringing you this wonderful uninterrupted coverage through to the conclusion this afternoon. Still just under half a minute advantage. A little bit of a CCC Sprande Polkowice team conference at the back of the bunch here, and no doubt the topic of conversation and the #1 item on the agenda is just how hard things are right now.
Probably some move-up talk. Trying to move up as a group, possibly. Yeah, it depends on what their well, if who their sprinter is, and if they can get together and maybe make a late run for it. Certainly, Lotto have set their stall out. They've committed to the chase.
Yep, Lotto Soudal believe that they've got what it takes to win this race. We saw Moreno Hofland suffering and struggling a little bit earlier on this afternoon. And Borasco, well, they believe that their man Jay McCarthy should be given every opportunity, and there should be no assistance given to the riders that are doing the chasing behind. The gap is just dangling and hovering.
So they're all working well together. They're pretty committed. So it's going to take a fair effort to bring these guys back, but there's still 30K to go. So there's still plenty of time.
It's a sort of a hiatus, isn't it? There's a sort of a stasis has been reached. The status quo, even a half a minute difference between the front two groups at the moment. No quarter given, none expected, but you sense that there's just a weight being played. And Boaro has been dispensed with. He's given his all. It's been a brave effort from the Bahrain Merida rider. His teammate Danioli's still there, but for how much longer? Because the AG2 World Mondial team, assisted by Team Dimension Data, two riders in the chase. The EF Education first have put a rider in there, as Lotto Soudal have got two riders as well. So there's plenty of riders willing to contribute. 6 riders up against a slightly reduced number up front, and of course those riders up front have been there for much longer.
Absolutely, and that obviously plays a massive factor. These guys are, well, I wouldn't say they're fresh, but they haven't had to ride in the wind all day long. Whereas you know, those guys up front now, they've been out there for at least 40K now. So that obviously takes its toll.
It's taking its toll on all of them. It's been a tough day out for each and every one of them. And, well, Diddy the Devil has rarely looked better. Still, the crowds come out despite the inclement weather conditions. These not representative in any way, shape, manner, or form of the weather conditions that we've had of late in this part of the world. But through Esher and heading into the burbs, the Surrey suburban sprawl that leads into the conurbation that takes us up through West London and through and into the conclusion. McCarthy drapes the arms. It's across the bars. You know what, it looks almost languid, as if it's a relaxing thing to do. In actual fact, it takes good core fitness, doesn't it?
It takes a lot of core fitness. You know, you're trying to engage all of it to keep the bar steady, so you know you're getting as aero as possible and getting all the power out through your legs and try and keep it at the speed as high as you can.
Well, they're keeping the speed as high as they possibly can behind, and it's having the effect. But at the moment, it's sort of honours even between the break and the bunch behind. But you know that there are more riders willing, ready and able to replace these riders at the front if and when it's required. Yeah,
you get a little bit of a sense that they're kind of pegging it, you know, because it keeps going up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit, and that kind of makes you think that they're just holding it there, not wanting to bring it back too quick. Because if it does come all back together, then the bunch will start attacking again.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it's like at that gap, at 30k to go, you're not going to get too many people.
And the riders up front can't afford to throttle back even for a moment.
No, they can't. No. So it's a bit of a game at the moment, and you know, and little things like that. You know, like going around a roundabout and getting it just a little bit wrong can you know, can cause the gap to go out 2 or 3 seconds, like it just did there. 30 seconds now from 26. So it doesn't take much, but it's a fine art, and these guys are obviously these two teams especially with Dimension Data and Lotto are spot on at doing this.
Through the tunnel, inside 30k to go. It's been all action throughout the afternoon. 183 kilometers for these riders in total. And now we're down well over 150 of those completed. So the legs were starting to feel a little bit tender. Definitely the efforts will be starting to have an effect. The repeatability of the pain and suffering, well, will be reduced. Lots of communication going on. Lotto-Soudal with control of the front of the peloton.
That's where these sprint teams are absolutely amazing at. The communication between the guys riding and the sprinters themselves is pretty phenomenal, and they know how to read a race so well that they really can time it to the very end.
Well, the crowds are coming out in force. We're out of the trees, back into the housing-lined roads and through each past the fun fair. It's been all the fun of the fair this afternoon in the Surrey Hills, and two riders feeling a little bit of sick at the way that they've been churned up and down.
Yeah, you can see the teams behind the initial chase here just queuing up, ready to take it up when they feel like it's right. You see a lot of jumbo just there, all together as a group. You know, like Quick Step are all right there together. They're all just sitting there waiting for the moment that they think that they need to take it up. So it really, you can really tell that means the breaks days are numbered.
Down to 22 seconds. It's relentless, and surely it is not coming back at this moment, or at least it's coming back soon. You know, it's inevitable at this point. It's been a brave resistance, but it surely can't last for a whole lot longer.
They've definitely put up a good fight there, and you know, all it needed was a bit more of a lull in the group behind, or a disorganization, and but it just didn't. It never came, and the group took it a bit more steady down the descended Box Hill. But as soon as they hit the bottom of it, they really got together, and Dimension Data and Lotto took it up with a bit of help from AG2R, and yeah, they're slowly taking that gap down. It's only 19 seconds now, so yeah, looks like it will be. I'm sure we'll see a few little attacks, but it's definitely heading towards a bunch kick.
Yeah, but the question is, will there be a counterattack out of the peloton, or is the pace just at such a sustained intensity that it prevents any lone raiders just trying their luck? How much legs are left in this group of brave chasers and tough riders? It's the Lotto-Soudal squad, little and large really, isn't it? Looks like Lars Idding back that is setting the tempo, and with the assistance of the young rider Björn Lambrecht.
Trying to catch a glimpse of Cav there, but I can't.
Yeah, we're trying to pick out the sprinters as best we can. If we get a shot of the of this group, I'm not sure the motorcycle is going to be able to make its way down and into the peloton. So we're just relying on the head-on shots in the absence of any helicopter shots. But well, it will be interesting, isn't it? We're interested, you're interested, everybody wants to know who's just ready to fire the pistol shot along the mile this afternoon and sprint to glory. It's been a tough day out for so many of those riders, but now we're into the end game. We're deep into the final, and there's Andre Greipel, who certainly he's made it in. We know that Elia Viviani is safely in there as well, and lots Michael Morkov deep in conflab with his sprinter Elia Viviani, making the big plan for what's likely to come. EF Education first either have Dan McClay or Sasha Modolo, who's been a top 3 finisher in this race in the past, to go for glory. AG Tourla Mondial are ready to sprint, and that can only mean that Rudy Barbier has safely made it into the group behind. So they have options, at least one, to go for glory this afternoon. And of course, Dimension Data, it can only be for Cavendish. But let's not forget that Mark Renshaw has sprinted with some effectiveness 2 years ago for Team Dimension Data to finish second behind Tom Bonin. So Mark Renshaw is a pretty good understudy to Mark Cavendish, albeit he doesn't often go for the sprints himself these days.
Yeah, he takes his chances when he gets them. When you know, if something happens to Cav, he's an excellent backup. So it really, time will tell if we can get a shot at Cav and see if he's there, or maybe it's for Renshaw they're working for.
Canny game being played by Team Quickstep. They had, I think it was Seneschal. It may have been Dries Devenants, but possibly Seneschal that was up front for them, doing a little bit of work. They put a rider in there, and then they saw that there was enough firework or firepower into the chase, and decided to try and just hold back. And they just were sitting and watching, and with great professional admiration at the work that's being done by the other teams, and trying to save their energy for the battle to come.
They're grouped together, so if they need to move, they can all move at once, and that's really key in these situations, is to move as a unit, protect your own riders, with the ultimate goal of getting your sprinter across the line first.
The ultimate goal is to get to the line on the mile, face it for Buckingham Palace. I tell you, it's absolutely bone dry here. The rain stopped at around about 1 o'clock. Seems like such a long time ago now, but suffice to say the rain stopped, and it's cleaned the conditions up.
Yeah, that gap is now really like just they can see the group now. It's only 12 seconds. They'll have them in their sights, and they'll just be pegging them now at this point. And you know, there's still 22k to go, which is actually still a long way to go before when you're bringing a group back like that. So should be interesting to see what happens now.
It's all about change, isn't it? The group are back. They've done a great job. They've certainly kept us entertained. Jay McCarthy's going to ride this one all the way to the point where the junction is made, but it's inevitable now. Himself, Nathan Haas, Valerio Agnoli. Well, they have done their best, but the unequal struggle against the combined forces of the bunch means that they're back in. This Vervilst, who was up the road for much of the afternoon. He's still in the bunch. Let's not forget as well Chris Juul Jensen, who kicked off the counter-attack. Wayne Dool as well. Those riders are about to be joined, and as they look over their shoulder, they'll get the unwelcome side of a very large group. Indeed, it is a pretty big group, isn't it?
Yeah. So whatever splits did happen over those climbs through those lanes, it was all been negated, and it's one big group again, maybe with a few here and there out the back.
McCarthy leads them on, but for how much longer? Down to within 21.5 kilometers.
Yeah, they might just ease off just a little bit, just to keep him right there. Well, they might just swallow him up whole and just keep the pressure on as long as they can.
Approaching Putney Bridge now. Oh, sorry, just a little bit further out than that. What am I saying? Coombe Lane, heading towards Rains Park. Wimbledon to come from then. Then we've got the final sprint of the afternoon, which looks, the way things are going, to be contested by the bunch. Not so sure contested is the way it's going to be, though, because although those sprints substantially mopped up. The gap has gone out ever so slightly. It's back out to 13 seconds. It's almost as if the bunch are absolutely 1000% certain to retain them, and now have just decided to throttle back. That will only... They can't do that for too long, can they?
No, it'll start to bunch up, as you can actually see in the background there. The group starts to spread out across the road a little bit, and you do open yourself up to a bunch of attacks then. And the hard thing with that is the relatively fresh legs that may have been in the bunch all day, hitting you hard, and that can be very hard to bring back if you don't get it straight away. So it's kind of a tricky one at this point, and it's you know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. They have set up and they've let it go out a bit more. Obviously, Duel has seen that and start to press on just a little bit more, maybe just extend it. But you know, it's a very tricky place to be for the peloton, you know, with those teams. But there's 3 or 4 teams there that are all lined up behind, so there's still loads of firepower there to bring something back if it does go.
Yeah, just heading up towards Rains Park, and this is going to feel like Alpe d'Huez, isn't it, to a lot of those riders. It's a short little climb, but it's a tough one. It's definitely a big ring job. But
it's also a good launch pad if someone was feeling good. Again, 20K is still a long way to go, but you know, if you're feeling good and the opportunity comes, and that's your opportunity right there. So you tend to take it in that situation. So
if teams that didn't bring a sprinter but have got anything approaching fresh legs, this could be a pretty good time to fly. Certainly Chris Jensen thinks it's a pretty good time to fly. Finds himself a couple of bike lengths clear of Owen Duel, who has to just rock the shoulders a little bit and ride back into the wheel of the Danish rider. Peloton, as they wind right and left, momentarily back out of sight once again, but they're not out of mind. Certainly this group are not out of mind of the peloton. The gap up to 14 seconds. It's fascinating stuff, but still a moment. You know, the wind up for the sprint would cover 14 seconds.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So this is just them not wanting to quite bring it back. And just letting it hang out. Maybe a bit of cat and mouse. Maybe teams trying to like rest some of the riders for a lead out. You know, they virtually had it all the way back, and then in fact we were told it was back, and then they've obviously sat up and just kind of let it drift a bit more, and we'll just toy with them for a little while now.
Andries Devenants has worked hard for Team Quickstep this afternoon, so he's just taking a little bit of a breather at the back. He's going to recover and see what he can do about going back up and making some sort of a contribution if the legs can come back to him just for a little bit of extra contribution in the death of this race. And of course, you've got the teams starting to get themselves organized now, and that's has created that little bit of a lull. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, some of the teams would have riders all over. You can just see that behind it was like a bubble, like a big triangular bubble, and that just shows that the pace has really come off on that peloton, and then obviously the gap has gone out. So yeah, they would take this time to get organized, maybe regroup, talk about how is everyone feeling, and then continue onward with the sprint finish.
Well, if Wayne Duel's face is any indication, he's not feeling great right now, but he certainly deserves a clap on the back, and chapeau for a great ride this afternoon. Nathan Haas too.
Yeah, Nick Haas had a great ride getting across that initial move, and you know, Duel has been he's been on it all ever since this move went. He's been really getting committed to it, and trying to get this group to stick. It's a shame that Matthews and Kenya had an incident by the sounds of it, because they were a lot of firepower to have in this group. So
it's the Dane Chris Jensen that leads this leaders group with just that 14-second advantage through Rains Park and into the final knockings of the Prudential Ride London Classic. Max Falscheid has made it in there. Now that's interesting, because Michael Matthews went raiding out front found himself in difficulty. He's dropped back into the bunch. We believe he's still in there, but so too is the big German Max Walscheid, and he is a big unit. He really does generate some significant watts. He's taken a string of top victories in some of the Asian races that Team Sunweb have been invited to over the last couple of years. Not absolutely top-level events, but an indication, I think. We're hearing that this rider down in the peloton, and a little bit of a touch of wheels, we believe, in the middle of that peloton. We'll see if we can pick up some evidence of that. Team Sky and Team Astana have been asked for to assist their riders.
That's the nervousness of the bunch now coming into the final 15K. Obviously, it's going to be a bunch sprint, so everyone's jostling for position, and there's only so much room on the road. So sometimes these touch of wheels happen, and people go down. And hopefully it's not serious, and we'll find out.
Yeah, no evidence of that, but we understand one or two riders just touching wheels. Down to 11 seconds, it's all done surely at this moment. Nathan Haas does not want to resist, and certainly Chris Juul Jensen. Alexis Goujar has won the King of the Mountains title. He mopped up points for AG Tour Le Mondial. The French rider has done a solid job this afternoon. Max Walscheid, you'd have to say, has already done a solid job. What are the legs like for a gallop? Whether he will be asked. Well, that's going to be a certain amount of the communications. Always assuming that Michael Matthews is still in there. We saw him going back looking for service, so we're not certain he's in there, but we believe he is. Yeah. And that's going to be the conversation in Team Sunweb.
And that's where the communication is key. Matthews has been up the road. He expended a lot of energy in that group, because that was a really concerted effort there to get to push that away. So he might now turn to a lead out man. Because he had his chance of going up the road, it didn't work out. Let's switch to Plan B now, and then again, he might be feeling really good. But I would suggest he'd probably switch to that lead out role.
Go for Walscheid. He's already tasted success on British soil this year in a big event. This, though, is a World Tour event, and would be a considerable step up for Walscheid, the sprinter for the Team Sunweb squad. Riders coming back up after their little spill and difficulties.
That's Stannard.
He's a big unit, isn't he?
Yeah.
Looks like the familiar figure of Ian Stannard, one of the best classics men around, and Dull wants to be last man standing, so Sky in evidence at the front and the back of this race as the final sprint of the afternoon. And I don't think this is as much for the sprint as much as this little climb, and you see the gradient. It really is a grippy little one. It's not in any way a classified climb, but I tell you what, at the end of a long hard day out, this offers a great opportunity for a rider just to at least be the last one going for glory. And Owain Doull is going to give his sprinters behind a little bit of and indeed the lead-out train as well, a little bit more of leeway and a break to watch, as Owain Doull is certainly going to be the final remaining rider from this breakaway group to survive and be the last one to be retained. But it's down to less than 10 seconds.
It looks like Haas tried to match his pace there and just couldn't quite do it. He just looked like he swung over then and has kind of conceded to sitting up and being swallowed up. And Doull was just digging in there, just to, like you said, just be the last man standing. Maybe again just give his team a bit of a, well, we've still got a guy up the road, and we don't have to do anything here. So yeah.
So it's the big unit that is Max Walscheid just towards the back of the group. Another man just making his way back up front is the man that was in the break earlier on, Aaron Vervilst. I picked out Dries Stevenens just in front of him. I think it's Seneschal on the front of the main bunch for the Quick Step squad, who started to do a bit of chasing, assisted by Langeveld of the EF Education First squad, the Dutch rider.
Every time you think someone's set up, you look back and then they're still going. Look like Haas was still chasing. Nathan Haas was still chasing Doull there, despite it only being 9 seconds. They're racing all the way to the end here.
Well, you wouldn't have bet that they'd make it to within 15 kilometres of the line about 10k ago, would you?
Not at all. And yet Haas about to close the gap.
Well,
so now there's.
It was 11 riders at one stage. Now it's down to just 2. Owain Doull and Nathan Haas The final remaining riders up front from those 8. Well, hang on a minute. Let's not rule out Chris Jensen, who's perhaps not quite at ease on the gradient, but once the road flattens out at all, then he really can get on top of a big gear, and he wants to try and retain this and get back up to these 2 riders up front. Two facing 2 at the moment. What's happening in the bunch behind as they try to get organised for the big push. It's still showing on the ticker at 9 seconds. Just as I say it, it unsticks itself and shows that that little flurry of activity served to gain them just a couple of seconds. And Wayne Doole and Jay McCarthy and Chris Jensen are going to get back on very slight. But look at the way the bunch is spread wide across the road. Got the Lotto Soudal team still on the front. Quick Step much in evidence. EF Education first, clearly highly motivated to do a ride. A very disappointing Tour de France for the EF Education first squad, losing their GC man Rigoberto Urán very early on, and of course really would be a useful boost to the team were they to take a World Tour race today.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a perfect opportunity for them. You know, and they're there with their sprinter. They're getting organized, and at this point, no one's trying to take it up too early. We're trying to keep the group moving, but not actually take it up themselves. We're trying to leave it to the other teams to do. This gap just keeps it itching out just a little bit, and then coming back a bit, and that's classic from that. And now we have 4 again at the front. 2
became 4. I mean, at one stage was nailed on certain that Wayne Doole was going to be final remaining rider. It's not certain now. So now 4 riders clear of the field and then down to the final 12 and a bit kilometres of the Prudential Ride London-Surrey Classic for 2018. The bunch spread wide across the road behind, just stalking this breakaway group, almost tantalising them by leaving them to destroy themselves out front for a little while longer. But you know what? This is cycle racing, and they will continue to just make that huge effort for as long as is required. And Wayne Doole, his attack not successful in terms of drawing himself clear for any permanent amount of time away from his breakaway companions, but he did manage to hold off Nathan Haas, Chris Jensen for that sprint. Verwilst rolling along at the back. Looks like he's going to get a bunch finish. There's another little kicker closer to the finish, but that could be it. And he could, looks like he's going to make it home and in the bunch. But the question is, who's going to be at the front end? Will Sport Vlaanderen have a rider to go for the gallop this afternoon?
Yeah, it's definitely EF back out the front there, doing the work at the moment.
Yeah, super motivated too.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, they've got a great sprinter in Madola and Maclay. So they've got a great shot here at a superb result. So I'm sure they're well motivated and committed to this chase. The jerseys really do stand out on the screen, though, so you can see exactly where they're all grouped together, just behind that first group of 5 or 6 riders.
There was a flurry of white jerseys for a bunch of years, and then it went to black, and I think it came back to white. But actually, the pink and the yellow ones, just you can see them from space, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
So 1 or 2 speed bumps along the way. They're tougher, I think, for the cameramen than they are for the riders in the bike races. Chris Jensen continues to persevere. They're still out front. You know what? They're going to get into single figures of kilometers remaining. They're hoping against hope. Super job being done by all of our motos out there today, particularly the riders, the cameramen, 2 riders on each of those motorcycles, and they've had a long, tough, hard day out there. Indeed, the helicopter pilots as well, who are unfortunately not able to contribute. We had the fixed-wing aircraft above that, but without a helicopter, the motos have done every bit of conveying the drama and the action and the wonderful bike race that is the Prudential Ride London-Surrey Classic this afternoon. So chapeau to all of the all of the professionals involved in creating this event, which is the concluding event of what's been an absolutely fantastic festival of racing action, hasn't it? And it's all starting to wind up in intensity now. Across the bridge and heading into London. As Matteo Trentin, he was at the back, he was up the front, now he's at the back again, but one wonders whether he'll be...
Human yo-yo.
Yeah. Trentin, does he have mind for an ambush? Will he get involved in the sprint, or will it be someone like Albacini? We know we've lost Caleb Ewan, so for the Michelin Scup, we've got Luka Mezgec, who's quite a useful finisher.
Absolutely, yeah. So they probably... I imagine at this point they would have they're committing to their sprinter now, which without Caleb Ewing would be Luca. So they're Jensen's still away at the front, so it's giving them a perfect reason to sit on and not have to do any work, any chasing at all. So the longer they stay out there, the better all these teams. The better chances they have of just sitting back and not having to take it up and put the pressure on the teams that are obviously doing the chasing now, like Quick Step and Dimension Data.
Motorcycles pulled out of the gap between the break up front and the bunch behind, so that's why we're struggling for images of the front of the bunch, because inevitably, of course, the commissars have controlled that space to allow the riders, and that's completely and perfectly understandable. So we're getting these great images of the front of the bunch and of the breakaway group, and picking up side of the bunch with the Quick Step squad solidly setting that tempo and starting to really wind this one up. So Quick Step have started to come up to assist with Lotto Soudal and the EF Education First squads, and they're the ones that want to try and own this. Dimension Data have just gone back in their box a little bit, I think, in recent times, just to try and get organised and perhaps prepare the sprint for Mark Cavendish. Always assuming he's in there. Boiro won the sprints competition. Well done to Manuel Boiro of the Bahrain Merida squad. He was the one who was the most interested in getting in the early move of the day.
Absolutely, and he did a brilliant ride there all day there at the front, and he comes away with the sprint prize.
Yeah, got something out of it. Bahrain Merida, can they get something more? Will the Bahrain Merida squad be able to go for glory this afternoon? We did see Nicola Bonifacio in a little bit of difficulty very early on, so I'm not at all sure that he's managed to make it in, but Greg Ebola could well be the man that goes for the Bahrain Merida squad, should they be able to present. Inside 8 kilometers remaining. Jay McCarthy still full of fight. Nathan Haas has a little look around. It's McCarthy that looked around. Nathan Haas just gave him the signal as if to say, we still ride.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still a wall of riders running towards you, and it does actually look like a bit of a smaller bunch now, doesn't it? It's when you see it like that in the on a bigger road, it's like, okay, it has we have lost a few there. We still don't know exactly who is in the bunch, but the ones we have seen, Viviani, we've seen Greipel, haven't we? It's shaping up to be quite the sprint.
Yeah, some of the world's top sprinters are involved and still in this bunch after a bruising day of action in the Surrey Hills this afternoon. After all that brave resistance, now surely it seems inevitable that the junction will be made, with AG Tour Le Mondial leading the peloton back, and the Quick Step squad in close attendance, ready to get themselves organised. We're deep into the closing stages. It's handshakes and congratulations and chapeau all round for Owain Doull, Chris Juul Jensen, Nathan Haas and Jay McCarthy. For our retained, we have Gruppo Compatto, as they say in some parts of Surrey. And the peloton still controlled by the tall figure of Vandenberg, and we've got on the front as well Lotto Soudal want to get involved, so too do Quick Step. Sabatini sitting close to the head of affairs, ready to get things organised for Elia Viviani. Michael Morkov is there. Haven't seen sign of Jakobsen.
Viviani has not left that front group, like top 10 for the last 20k. He's just been there right behind his team the entire time. He's definitely motivated for this sprint. Trying to catch a glimpse of other sprinters that far up. I can only see Greipel at the moment.
I think that's Jakobsen, just to correct myself, just sitting in front of Morkov and Viviani. So that's two riders who are capable of sprinting for their own interests, that are ready to lead out Elliot Viviani. And you know what? He has been resurgent this year, and a lot of it is because he's come into a team that is fully formed. I mean, they are capable of getting organised for just about every situation outside of full GC for a Grand Tour. They have just such a wonderful collection of riders. It's Martinelli who's on the front. Now we see the Lotto Enel Jumbo starting to get organised as well. And the big teams are starting to wind it up. Inside 5 kilometers to go. And the Bora Hansgrohe squad have got numbers on the right-hand side of picture. Quick-Step have control, well, at least had control. That's all changed. We've got the big figure of Ian Stannard is leading the Sky group and trying to set something up for, is that Lawless at the back? Yep, looks like Chris Lawless. Yep, is ready to sprint for glory on the mile for Britain and for Team Sky this afternoon. Team Lotto Enel Jumbo have belief. Greipel is in there. So too is Elliot Viviani. Mark Cavendish has managed to make it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on Viviani's wheel, right there. Right in the right position.
So Mark Cavendish has seen the Team Dimension Data squad do superb work throughout the afternoon. And now he's ready to take the benefit of one or two of the other teams. We've got Ian Stannard on the front. Lukasz Wisniewski sits in second place for Team Sky, and that's Chris Lawless ready to sprint. And he is a fine sprinter, but why not a little bit of a counter-attack? Is this just an attempt? It just shows that the lead-out was not quite big enough and brave enough. And the
Scott Miles.
Yeah, it's the former Australian national road race champion for the Miles Scottson from Australia, that is, and indeed BMC, that has gone clear of the field, and that has put the cat among the pigeons a little bit. Inside 3.5 kilometers to go.
He's I believe he's a world pursuit champion, or yeah. So he's not someone you want to give a lot of room to. He's got a lot of firepower. But it looks like they're the one person you don't want chasing you is probably Ian Stannard, so he's up against it, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, the camera may be foreshortening the gap, but there's it's not a significant advantage that Miles Scottson has. The BMC rider from Australia wants to try and ambush the peloton, but he's turning himself inside out. He's still got 3 kilometers to go, and I tell you what, that just shows you just how difficult it is to get to the front and get off the front of the peloton, because you've got such a narrow advantage. And it didn't last for long, did it, as the Team Sky led peloton, and Team Sunweb as well starting to make their appearance up towards the front. They're losing lead out, man. It looks to me as if Valscheid has just pulled off the front, so I wonder where Michael Matthews is. He's sitting pretty. He's been just escorted to the front by Valscheid, and I think he's going to try and surf the wheels of the other sprinters' teams. Bora Hansgrohe in position and ready to fire as well. They've got Ackermann, who got up from his crash and is safely in there, the German national road race champion. So you've got Chris Lawless is going to sprint for Team Sky there. We've got Wisniewski on the front of the peloton. We've got Trek Segafredo trying to get involved as well. Mario Trentin is trying to move up for the Mitchell and Scott team on the left-hand side of your picture as they find this little bit of road furniture, and we're heading down by the river and heading down towards the conclusion of this event. And coming down, Admiralty Arch beckons. Inside 2k to go.
It is absolutely flat out along here, and you can just see if you make one mistake going around the wrong way around a roundabout, and everything's done, everything's over. So you really have to pay attention here. It's like everything's to the wall now. It's looks like Lotto is taken over now from Sky, and Bora have 5 guys all just lined up right there, ready to take over as well.
Yeah, they've done a lot of chasing today. They've had riders in the break, numerous riders in the break, Pete Kenyuk and Jay McCarthy most particularly, and now they still have numbers to get involved in a lead-out for Pascal Ackermann. So can Bora Hansgrohe deliver? Can Lotto Soudal deliver? Can the Trek Segafredo team get it organised for? Is it, we believe, perhaps Giacomo Nizzolo? Just trying to pick out the pictures. It looks like Nizzolo to me that's in in there, just sitting on the tail of his teammate. So the red colours of Trek Segafredo just trying to surf the wheels of the blue and black colours of Bora Hansgrohe into and under the kite. The final 1,000 metres of what has been an enthralling edition of the Prudential Ride London-Surrey Classic for 2018, and it's Team Sunweb trying to control. Everybody wants to make the turn and lead them under Admiralty Arch. BMC also have some interest and involvement in this one. Ackerman, though, is going to ride through in third place, and the Bahrain Merida squad looks a bit like Greg Abola that could well be going for glory. Or is it Garcia who's into prime position on the wheel of Ackerman? So it's the Bora Hansgrohe squad are going to get to lead it out from the man in third place in the white jersey of leader of the German national road race champion. Ackerman is going to fire. We've got the Italian road race champion. Elia Viviani's ready to go. Here we are as we wind up for the gallop. It's Team Sunweb in fine position as well. And here comes Viviani, who's coming off the wheel of Garcia and going for the line. But Ackerman on the left has got a nice start. It's the two national road race champion. It's Ackerman against Viviani. Ackerman is going to get it. Pascal Ackerman has got the victory. Prudential Ride London-Surrey Classic for 2018 goes to Bora Hansgrohe, goes to the German national road race champion, goes to Pascal Ackerman, who crashed out on the road but picked himself up off the floor and has delivered a success, a beautiful success and a real team success for Bora Hansgrohe, because they had riders up front for much of the afternoon. They covered every move and they still had significant strength in numbers to survive through and produce and present Ackerman. It was a bit of a slam dunk.
That was absolutely incredible. That they rode that unbelievably. That you know, Ackerman to pick himself off the ground like that and continue and to get back in the bunch. The team regrouped, reset themselves, and then they set that up perfectly for the sprint. That was unbelievable. That is an absolutely brilliant lead out there.
Superb work done throughout the afternoon by the Bora Hansgrohe squad. So many teams wanted to get involved in the chase, but it was the Bora Hansgrohe squad that had the numbers in abundance and had the sprinter in fine form. Ackerman was already gone before Viviani on the right-hand side comes off the wheel of Garcia. Garcia through the middle just hasn't got the firepower. He's gotten it solo in the red of Trek Segafredo, sweeping back across the road, brought by Viviani. But by then, Ackerman was punching the air in delight, and really there was nothing they could do about it.
That was absolutely phenomenal, that. Yeah. I thought when I saw Viviani place where he was, I thought he was absolutely, he was a shoo-in for it, but Ackerman absolutely rode that perfectly. The whole Bora team rode that perfectly.
Congratulations to the riders from the early break who find themselves just trailing in. There's Viviani on the right-hand side of the road.
Yeah, absolutely. He had good speed. He was coming up, but Ackerman just had to jump on him. Clearly, from that angle right there, you could see he already had 2 bike lengths on him.
Yeah, and Mark Cavendish just not quite able to get involved in this. Greipel too finds himself just too far back when the sprint began.
Yeah, Mark Cavendish off to the left-hand side of the road or right-hand side of the road.
I think that might have been Mike Tunnison sprinting for the Sunweb squad.
That for Trek Segafredo, Mullen or
Solo, I think that was
Mazzolo, sorry, yeah. It was third.
Yeah, 2 Italians, second and third, but I'll throw the back of the line for Jackman and Solo. Good effort, but Viviani too, just not equal to the sheer power of Pascal Ackerman, and he got as close to an armchair ride as you're ever likely to get. Yeah. Vandenberg will take some heart from a really pro job done leading the bunch for so much of the afternoon, but well, for the AG World Mondial squad wasn't a B. Bora Hansgrohe squad, though, they have strength and depth among the sprinters.
And they did, you know, they obviously had a plan. They rode hard up the climbs. They put a lot of people under pressure, and you know, tired out some legs for the final sprint. And Ackerman really just, he rode away with that one. Even after hitting the deck like that, that's you know, that takes some mental strength to bounce back up.
Because it's easy to say it's not my day.
Exactly. The second you hit the ground, it's so easy to just be like, that's it. You know, but you know, obviously he got back up. He was okay, which was obviously the first thing, and then to get back in the in the bunch and get back, regroup with his team, and then you know, readjust their plan. You know, because they all had to stop. They had to stop doing what they had set out to do. So yeah, brilliant ride by the whole team.
Well, for some of the great names, it wasn't to be the day out that they wanted. Andre Greipel got himself over those grippy little climbs, but not really able to get into contention at the back end, and it was left to some of the younger riders. Here's the unofficial results. Here's the line. The riders crossed the line with Pascal Ackermann taking the win ahead of Elia Viviani and Giacomo Nizzolo. Garcia, Consoni, Phil Bauhaus it was sprinting for Team Sunweb. Jempi Drucker, another top 10 performance for the BMC man. Greipel, Koch and Rudy Barbier rounding out the top 10 for AG Tour Le Mondial. No doubt about Pascal Ackermann taking the victory for Bora Hansgrohe.
You just see his jump right there. Obviously put second into everybody else on the timing, so he had a, you know, that's where he got it. He got it straight in his jump, and nobody was ever even on turn with him. So
yeah, his teammates were celebrating about 30 yards from the line. Yeah.
It's with the camera you can't always see it, so it's a bit tricky. But yeah, they can certainly see it there clearly.
CCC Sprandin Polkovic had much to take from the day, but not quite as much as the Bora Hansgrohe team, who collectively, as
amazing job today. I crashed in the middle of the race. They brought me back, and then Jay and Dave was in the breakaway, and we just had to sit on the back. And it was amazing how they brought me in the end, and I just had to finish the race again.
At the end there, the team was celebrating before you'd even crossed the line. They knew you'd done it.
Yeah, we talked yesterday. I saw to them, I'm in a really good shape, and we do it today, and we did it again.
What's it like to win here in London? How does this rank for you?
Yeah, it was the first victory in the German Championship. I'm really proud to wear it, and I hope they will follow more of these victories.
Amazing. Huge congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
A crash, then you know that might have stayed away, or maybe.
Yeah, excuse me, Christian, but Elia Viviani, we've caught up with him. He didn't quite manage to get the win, but let's hear from the great Italian champion now.
Big effort today. How tough was it out there?
Yeah, it was really a wet day, so the race exploded a long way to go. But yeah, we keep control and we work hard in the front. But yeah, second place.
Yeah.
For sure, you are more happy when you win, but the second place in a classics, World Tour Classics, is always good results. It's the first race comeback for the after my rest, after Giro and National, so conditioning is good. I'm happy with that.
Talk us through this finish here. Seemed like you were in a perfect position. Ackermann just really strong at the end there.
If I do one mistake in the last corner, Cortina, I think, from Bahrain, coming middle from me and Ackermann. And to beat him, maybe I need to be close on his wheel. But when I see Cortina in the middle, I start to go on the other side of the road, and I try to, I try to beat him. But he have a really strong lead out. He is strong. He do a really big effort today. And then, yeah, congrats to him, who was the strongest today.
Well, congratulations to you as well. Second place here in London. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.